the arrest of a suspected serial killer.
Tonight, a woman charged with 3 murders in 3 different cities. Good evening. We begin tonight with a developing story and shocking revelations from police about an investigation into a string of homicides.
A 30-year-old woman arrested and charged with murder in connection with 3 deaths in Hamilton, Niagara, and Toronto. CTV's John Musselman joins us live with the details, but we will hopefully get to him a little bit later.
We're waiting on John, but as we wait for him, we have some details. Niagara Regional Police say that Toronto police first responded to a call for service in the east end of the city Tuesday, and they found a woman in her 60s dead in a home with visible signs of trauma. And then on Wednesday, emergency officials went to a park in Niagara Falls where there were reports of a disturbance, and there they found a man who was critically injured, and that man died. And then on Thursday, police in Hamilton, they got a call about an unresponsive man who was found in a parking lot with stab wounds, and that man later died in hospital. And what's shocking here is these 3 incidents over 3 days this week have now been linked to one person, a 30-year-old Toronto woman who is now facing multiple murder charges. First-degree murder for the first incident, and police say that she knew that victim. But what's troubling here is police are alleging that the accused is suspected in injuring and killing the second victims at random. She is charged with second-degree murder in those cases. So what we have here is a suspected serial killer, and we're working to learn more about who this woman is. And we do have a clip from police on the matter. Let's listen.
I'm very pleased that we were able to bring this to closure in a quick manner. You know, we have 3 families here that have lost their loved ones. And I think, you know, when we have someone who's committed 3 offenses in a real tight time frame like that, there is a risk of them obviously committing further offenses. So I'm grateful for the, you know, dogged determination shown by our investigative teams in the pursuit of justice in this particular case.
Now, there's also a person of interest in this case. Not sure if we can pull up the image, but there is another woman captured on a security camera at a giant tiger. This is from Hamilton police, and she was seen purchasing clothing for the alleged accused, and police are looking for this woman. So they're hoping the public can potentially provide some information on who she is to solve some further pieces of this puzzle. So this afternoon, we're learning that one woman, a 30-year-old Toronto woman seen here, is facing multiple murder charges for 3 deaths in 3 locations: Toronto, Niagara Falls, and Hamilton, over 3 days. Our John Musselman is at one of the scenes. He's working on this story. We don't have him right now because of some technical issues, so what we're going to do is move on, and we will get to him as soon as we can.
Right, to other news, there are renewed calls for bail reform tonight after a police officer was shot and injured during a robbery investigation.
The victim, a 29-year-old member of Toronto police, is now at home recovering from his injuries, but we are learning more about the suspect and his criminal past. Our Mike Walker joins us live with that story tonight. Mike.
Well, Michelle, Nathan, the accused 21-year-old Tibor Organa was out on bail when this shooting happened. He was arrested just months prior by York Regional Police in relation to break-in enters there. We've also learned that he was previously charged with weapon offenses in Northern Ontario.
Air 2, I think I got him.
This is video from the York Regional Police helicopter on May 24th, tracking down suspects wanted for break-in enters in King Township.
9 for you is just over that fence.
Among the suspects arrested is Tibor Organa, charged with a slew of offenses for breaking into homes, possessing a stolen vehicle, and stolen license plates. The 21-year-old Toronto man was released on bail. 4 months later, he's charged with attempted murder for allegedly shooting a Toronto police officer in the abdomen who was investigating a robbery in Midtown on Wednesday. The city's top cop says it speaks to the broader issue of the bail system,
which is a bail system that we are seeing repeat violent offenders that are out on the streets and cause harm who are out on bail. And I think we need to continue our efforts to find a legislative framework that meets the expectations of Canadians.
Court documents from Fort Frances reveal Organa was prohibited from possessing weapons in 2022. Those documents also show he pleaded guilty to weapons-related offenses last year.
The individual that shot our officer the other day, once again, serious failed to comply from before. And that tells me that they do not care about the courts.
The Toronto Police Association president demanding action on bail reform.
Stricter bail for individuals that are charged with serious criminal offenses involving violence, particularly violence for firearms. Anyone who's been previously charged and they have a history of defying court orders.
In the wake of this incident, the Conservative leader urging changes to the federal bail laws.
When will this government finally accept that their hug-a-thug, catch-and-release system is putting our people at risk?
Ontario Premier Doug Ford also calling for a reform, stating in a social media post, "Enough is enough. The federal government needs to do its job and fix our broken bail system so we can keep dangerous criminals behind bars and off our streets." But the Department of Justice argues the administration of bail is a provincial responsibility.
We need to ask genuine questions about who's making decisions about granting or denying bail. Provincially appointed JPs. About provincial crowns who are making decisions about whether to review bail and what kind of conditions to impose.
As for the 29-year-old officer who has been identified by a spokesperson for the Justice Minister's Constable Tate Davouti, he's now recovering at home. The charges against Organa in York Region and Toronto have not been tested in court. Now, Organa made his first court appearance late yesterday afternoon. The case has been put over until later this month. Reporting live, I'm Mike Walker. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. Also tonight, relief for some residents, but the issue is far from resolved. The encampment is removed from a Parkdale parkette, but it's raising new questions about a long-term strategy.
As we approach the anniversary of the October 7th Hamas attacks on Israel, police across the GTA are stepping up their presence on city streets.
Authorities say they're taking that step in the name of reinforcing community safety. York Regional Police have set up a command post in the parking lot of the Promenade Mall near Bathurst and Clark, with officers describing the step as a precautionary measure. A second mobile command post will deploy at different locations across Vaughan, Richmond Hill, and Markham over the coming days. And officers have increased foot and mobile patrols near faith-based institutions, schools, and community centers.
That increased visibility, I think, will go a long way to helping ease some of the anxiety and the angst that we know many in our community have been feeling for the past 12 months, and in particular with tensions that are heightening right now in the Middle East.
We want to reiterate that we are here to make sure that everyone is feeling safe and secure and that all the members of our community feel heard.
Here in Toronto, 3 mobile command posts will be stationed in Jewish neighborhoods along Bathurst, and 1 will deploy to various mosques around the city. Police statistics have shown a 69% increase this year in hate incidents targeting the Jewish community and a 40% increase in those targeting the Muslim community.
Still ahead on CTV News, taking stock of patio season with another one in the books. How did this year's Cafe TO program stack up? Dining al fresco by the numbers. The city weighs in.
And you might want to fill up this evening. The price of gas ticked up overnight and will jump even higher tomorrow. The conflict involving oil-rich Iran is being blamed for the jump. We saw a 1-cent increase overnight, and analyst Dan McTagg with Canadians for Affordable Energy says the price at the pumps will increase another 5 cents tomorrow. That will take the average price in southern Ontario to $1.53.9 a liter.
A live look outside on this first Friday night of the month of October. We saw a bit of rain earlier. The day started out really sunny, but the clouds that we're seeing are expected to clear out. If you do have plans to be out and about, we'll be getting down to single digits temperature-wise. To get the specifics, Jessica Smith is here with a look at what we're working with as we enter another weekend, Jess.
It has been a beautiful day for the most part, right? Lots of sunshine out there earlier, some cloud cover, and we saw some light passing showers in the past hour or so. The bulk of that, though, moving on, and we will see a little bit of that kind of sunlight, that pink sky right before the sun sets this evening. That line of showers, though, nothing super organized, and continues to push its way east as we head through the rest of our evening. We're sitting in the mid to upper teens for the most part, so it feels cool in comparison to how warm it has been, but we're really not that far off the seasonal mark. As we head through the islands and Pearson. Still some light showers, but really the bulk of this has pushed its way further east tonight. Just a few light clouds, and then it clears out, and we sit at a low of just 9, but that is still above seasonal. Coming up, I'll have your full forecast. Right now, it's back over to Michelle and Nathan.
Thanks, Jess. It's yet another sign the weather is changing and the summer season is coming to a close.
The city is closing its curbside patios. The Cafe TO program winding down for another year. CTV's Beth McDonnell is live on the Danforth with more. Beth.
Nathan, the colder weather is coming, and it means this year's Cafe TO program is coming to an end. These curbside dining spaces are being dismantled now through October 15th. Cafe TO, the curbside patios changing Toronto's streetscapes, appear to be popular among patrons in Greektown.
I think it's wonderful, and because our summer is so long now, we can enjoy it even longer.
I'm more drawn to going to eat outside somewhere than inside, just because it's like a different atmosphere.
After the hard years of COVID-19, followed by a cost of living crisis, it's helping restaurateurs too.
It gave us the opportunity to generate more sales, absolutely. I cannot see myself without the Cafe TO anymore. These 50 seats are gold.
The City of Toronto says after problems with the program in previous years, getting applications approved and having patios ready for the good weather, the kinks have been worked out.
Working with our amazing city staff, the BIAs, the restaurant owners, they gave us concrete examples on what needs to be fixed, and by gosh, we got it done.
In 2024, more than 300 establishments took part in Cafe TO, 60 more than last year. Although data isn't available for this year and last year, in 2022, the city says Cafe TO injected around $200 million into the local economy.
We love what it's done to the community, our neighborhood. It's vibrant, everybody enjoying the streets.
It's not all perfect on the patio just yet. Some BIAs say there is an opportunity to enhance these spaces, like beautifying patio barriers, and are concerned about rising fees and if grants will continue. Some motorists are concerned about Cafe TO's impact on traffic. Here, the seats replace parking spots.
But it's not limiting traffic, and it makes it a bit more awkward, but to me it's worth it easily.
People we spoke with love Cafe TO so much, they hope to see it extended.
People clear tennis courts in the winter to make tennis work. I'm sure if they put out some heaters, they could still keep it going as long as they want, rather than the city telling them
to keep enjoying the alfresco experience. In all, the city says there are 1,400 places to dine outdoors. This includes sidewalk cafes and private patios in all. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. A large fire broke out in Vaughan this morning, filling the air with thick smoke. Viewer video captured images of the inferno. It broke out at a home on Tennant Circle near Major Mackenzie and Weston Road shortly after 5 a.m. And as you can see, the entire structure was engulfed. Thankfully, no injuries were reported. Hours later, crews were still on scene watching out for hot spots. The home was heavily damaged with the roof completely gone. The cause of this blaze is under investigation.
We told you last night about the mounting tension in a pocket of South Etobicoke where neighbors are upset over a growing encampment.
It is a complicated issue playing out right across the city, and tonight we take you to Parkdale, where residents have been rallying to reclaim their park, buoyed by what they call short-term success this week. CTV's Natalie Johnson reports.
In this Parkdale parkette, just one tent remains. A very different picture than just a few days ago when this was the scene at the Beatty Avenue playground.
Human feces, garbage, needles, drug paraphernalia, that kind of filth.
Neighbors like Tricia Emerson had for months watched the park be overtaken by an encampment, becoming concerned about safety on their street.
Garbage everywhere, needles, just completely unsafe. There's drug use going on, and it's unsafe for the kids. There's no kids that can play here anymore.
Unsatisfied with what she considered inaction from the city, Emerson issued a plea to the Premier.
I had the idea to send a text message to Doug Ford. I sent him photos of before of when my kids played in the park, and I sent photos of what the current state of the park was. He called me back within minutes, and He said, Tricia, I'm very sorry about this, and I will do everything in my power to help.
I got a call yesterday. There's needles in the park right beside a play set. There are encampments all over the place. It's unacceptable.
The Premier texted a photo and said that, ooh, we need to do something. I looked at the photo, I thought, yeah, this is pretty sad.
2 days later, municipal machinery moved in and started cleaning up the site. Though the local councillor says that was the result of one of the encampment residents agreeing to accept support services and move out of the park.
We don't just go in and knock down encampments as happened with the previous mayor. That's not what we do. People only leave their encampment when they accept an offer of shelter and housing, and that's what happened here. People should not be under the impression that you can phone a politician and get an encampment removed.
Relief for some residents who worry, though, that it won't last.
We do have concerns that this is only half measure, because once you remove, people will start to come back.
I just want it safe for the kids and for the residents of our street and Parkdale.
Saying a long-term solution can't come soon enough. Natalie Johnson, CTV News.
There are ongoing questions tonight in Montreal after a century-old building went up in flames, leading to a number of deaths and injuries.
As this fire is of suspicious origin, our investigators are working to reconstruct the events.
Police didn't say how the fire may have started or how many people may have died. But sources tell Nouveau Info that at least 2 people lost their lives in the blaze. The flames broke out early this morning, and fire crews were still fighting them as of this afternoon. A dedicated helpline was set up for anyone who believes they had friends or loved ones staying in the building.
A ruling today from the Supreme Court of Canada is being celebrated as a win for travelers.
The High Court dismissed an appeal by a group of airlines that challenged the country's Passenger Bill of Rights. CTV's Judy Trin reports.
They just ghosted me at that point and never responded.
Nolan McGee has been waiting for more than a year for Air Canada to compensate him for a flight to Rome that was delayed for 24 hours. His chances of getting some money back has improved with the Supreme Court's unanimous ruling. The High Court upheld Canada's regulations, forcing any airline that flies in and out of this country to compensate passengers for delays that are within their control.
Unless there's exceptional circumstances, which is very narrow, then generally the consumer should get compensation. And the airlines should be able to anticipate things like crew shortages, some weather events, and keep their maintenance up so that they can't start putting everything into this exception box.
Canada implemented air passenger protection legislation in 2019 that provided set payments for delays and damages to baggage. The International Air Transport Association says it's disappointed with the decision, and while acknowledging its role, it says the federal government also needs to focus its efforts on improving the overall air travel system.
But while it is a victory, it stops things from getting worse.
Since 2019, more than 150,000 complaints have been filed with the Canadian Transportation Agency, including 22,000 so far this year. The agency has a backlog of 79,000 cases to adjudicate. The airlines have now been defeated in courts in Canada and the European Union. Consumer advocates will use this Supreme Court ruling in other jurisdictions where the airlines are still fighting similar legislation. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
A summit of Francophone countries officially got underway in France today with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in attendance.
On voyait avec le développement de l'Internet, avec tout ce qui est devenu...
The PM addressed a session on artificial intelligence as leaders held a session on challenges for French-speaking citizens in the digital age. Tomorrow, he's expected to announce $16 million in funding to support women and girls' access to education and health and safety in French-speaking African countries. Looming large over this summit is the ongoing crisis in Lebanon, a member of La Francophonie.
And speaking of Lebanon, Israel's military has warned people to evacuate more communities in that country's south, potentially signaling plans for a wider ground operation.
CTV's Adrian Gobriel is following all of the latest developments out of the Middle East.
A towering inferno lights the early morning skyline in Lebanon's capital. The Israeli missile strike, according to multiple reports, targeting this man, senior Hezbollah operative Hashim Safiuddin, rumored to be the next commander of the terrorist organization. Safiuddin is the cousin of Hassan Nasrallah, the Hezbollah leader who was killed 1 week ago. As smoke rises with the sun in Beirut today, the life and death challenges facing civilians and aid workers caught in the crossfire are becoming painfully clear.
We are witnessing continuous bombardments and a lot of escalation across the country. Also, we are witnessing a massive displacement of people across Lebanon.
In the last 2 weeks alone, 400,000 people have become displaced in Lebanon. The path to leave the country has become that much more difficult as an Israeli airstrike near the Lebanon-Syria border stranded those desperate to leave. Israel's military says it struck an underground tunnel crossing to prevent weapons from being smuggled into Lebanese territories.
It's either staying in Lebanon with that growing risk on their lives, or taking the decision to go back and cross the border to Syria with all the other risks in mind.
Thousands packed Tehran's Grand Masala Mosque today as some held up the yellow flag for Hezbollah, where for the first time since 2020, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah al-Khamenei, appeared in person to lead Friday prayers. As he called this week's strikes on Israel by Iran a service to all of humanity.
Global Affairs Canada is urging anyone still inside Lebanon to leave immediately and take the first flight offered to them after some planes left with empty seats. So far, roughly 5,000 Canadians and permanent residents have requested flight information out of the country. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
The United Nations says at least 70 people are dead after a brutal attack by gang members in Haiti. Officials say this happened in a town north of the capital when armed men belonging to an area gang swept through the area, shooting automatic rifles at residents. At least 3,000 others were forced to flee during the attack. Reports suggest the gang members also set fire to dozens of homes and vehicles. Haiti's prime minister called the incident an odious crime against defenseless women, men, and children, as spiraling violence between rival gangs continues to paralyze the Caribbean nation.
At least 215 people have now died from the damage caused by Hurricane Helene, making it the deadliest mainland U.S. storm since Hurricane Katrina.
It's absolute devastation. Even just this valley through here is decimated.
Rescue operations are continuing with hundreds still unaccounted for. More than a week since the storm made landfall, some communities remain isolated and hundreds of thousands are without power. In hard-hit North Carolina, private helicopter companies are stepping up, bringing in much-needed supplies to small mountain communities cut off by the devastating flood damage.
NASA shares some stunning images of an unusually intense solar flare. These images were captured by NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory on Thursday. They show that powerful solar flare, which is the biggest since 2017. Solar flares of this magnitude can impact radio communications, power grids, and pose a risk to spacecraft. But they could also lead to some spectacular northern lights over the coming days, as all those ions reach Earth's magnetic fields.
Back here on Earth, details of a unique road closure in York Region.
Is to ensure safe passage for a tiny endangered species. CTV's Scott Lightfoot has the story.
It has become a biannual detour for drivers in York Region. Starting tonight and every night until October 27th, Stouffville Road will be closed to traffic to allow for the crossing of a very small creature.
This creature here, it's endangered. It's only in this area here for York Region.
In York Region, this is the only place you'll find the Jefferson salamander.
No self-respecting salamander wants to live down in like concrete, and no self-respecting salamander wants to live in agriculture area. They want to live here.
And to survive, they require a very specific type of habitat.
They need water to do the reproduction. They need water without fish, so they need specialized water called, like vernal pools or ponds that have no access by fish that's going to eat the eggs. They also need to hibernate in the winter, so they need to be able to get down 4 feet underneath the frost layer.
Those spring and summer water sources are on the south side of Stouffville Road, and the spots for winter hibernation are on the north side. and making the crossing difficult, thousands of vehicles.
They're so slow moving, they are impossible to see. They move at night, they move during the rain, so you're not going to see them and they're not going to make it across. So the population was just plummeting.
And while plans are in the works to build salamander crossings under the road, for now, traffic will come to a halt to help the population survive, something officials say most drivers support, even if it means a slight detour.
Everyone cares about the salamanders, so it's cool.
Scott Lightfoot, CTV News, Richmond Hill.
A world-renowned dance company celebrates 35 years of success, showcasing one of the earliest forms of Indian dance. A behind-the-scenes look at the musical extravaganza coming up.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, most of us have at least one credit card. Many of us have 2, 3, or more. Is it worth it signing up to get a store credit card to get a discount or a 0% sales offer? Well, it depends. We have some advice. That story is just ahead.
We see the rain clear up this evening, and we start off our weekend pretty clear. And if you're heading into Nuit Blanche tomorrow night, it is a fantastic night to get out and enjoy all of the art. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast.
About half of all Canadians carry a balance on their credit card each month, meaning they're paying interest on credit card debt.
If you pay off your credit cards each month, the rewards can really add up. But if you don't, the points you get may not be worth it. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Nathan and Michelle. Most Canadians have at least 2 credit cards, and when we shop, we're often pitched new cards that come with special offers. While these cards may seem like a great deal, if you don't pay them off in a timely manner, they probably aren't worth having. Have you ever gone to pay for something and been told you can save even more, sometimes up to 20% off your purchase, if you open a store-branded credit card? So, is it worth doing?
Generally, this is not a good idea. Sure, those upfront savings can be very enticing, but if you don't pay off that balance before a promotional period ends, you'll pay a lot of interest.
You may get an offer of no interest for a set time, but if the balance is not paid in full by the due date, you could have to pay interest charges back to day one. RewardsCanada.ca says check the fine print.
Some that say 0% financing for 12 months. So you may have to take it and pay it off within that 12 months because they may back charge the interest. The interest doesn't start at month 13. The interest goes back to month 1.
If you have a credit card with a balance of $4,800 with an annual interest rate of almost 20%, without paying down the card, you'll be charged more than $900 in interest each year. If your credit card has an annual rate of almost 26%, you'll be paying more than $1,200 in interest charges. Credit cards do offer rewards like free groceries, gas, and airline miles, which are great for those who pay off their balance each month. But if you don't, the rewards you get are not likely worth the interest you'll end up paying.
Majority of points earned in Canada are worth like maybe 1%, 2%, 3% at most. And when you're paying 21% interest, you don't have to be that strong in math to realize the difference.
If you're struggling to pay off your credit card debt, try to find a lower interest rate option. Consider switching to a low interest credit card with rates as low as 10 to 13%. Take out a line of credit or consider a consolidation loan. And always try to pay off as much of your credit card bill as you can each month, but at least make the minimum monthly payment. If you miss paying that, it will affect your credit rating and cause you to pay even higher interest rates in the future. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
All right, looking at the forecast, and it's still above seasonal, still mild, still comfortable. Hopefully that continues for a few more days.
There's a little different. I'm noticing the conditions this weekend. There's one really nice day, one not so nice. But hey, in October, I feel like it can be pretty ugly, so we're getting off easy.
People are still out there in shorts and a T-shirt, still doing those outdoor activities that are more typical, I guess, early September. We've had such a warm start to the fall season. That's not going anywhere. So if you still want to play soccer outside, football outside, you absolutely can. We all know the CFL season goes well into November, so the weather doesn't impact them. But we're holding on to a pretty nice forecast. We've seen some showers in the early evening, but a lot of that has pushed out, and it is going to be a beautiful start to the weekend. But throughout the day today, it was really quite nice. Folks were even still out there getting in those last kind of trips out there on the paddleboard, those brave souls out there, but really enjoying the fact that we still have such a mild start to the fall season. As we make our way in towards the next few days, the next few weeks, we'll see all these trees continue to change. You see a few of them in there. It's a slow but steady start to that kind of fall change when it comes to all those beautiful colors we have out there. Temperature-wise, it's not bad. We're sitting at 17, so we're cooling down. We've had kind of a southerly flow in the last little bit. We'll see a northerly wind overnight, and that carries us into the start of our weekend. From central to southern Ontario, temperature-wise, it's not too bad. A little cooler further north, but that is to be expected. Into this evening, we're sitting at just 9, but that is closer to seasonal. We're looking at some even cooler temps through Bancroft. They're at 2, Peterborough's at 3, the same over towards Goderich, and we do have a few frost advisories in place over towards Hanover. Into the start of our weekend, beautiful sunshine just above that seasonal mark, a light northwesterly wind, and fantastic for getting out to all the fall activities that are beginning, although it still feels kind of like that mid to, early summer season. We're seeing that line of showers that kind of rolled over us in the past hour or so push out. We have a really clear evening ahead of us, and it's quite nice as we kind of step in towards this first full weekend of October. But it is that low that's making its way out of the prairies we are watching to impact us on Sunday. As we head through the rest of our evening, again, all that rain, all that cloud cover, it pushes out. And after 10 p.m., a really clear night ahead of us. And that's how we start the day tomorrow. Lots of sunshine out there from start to finish. And really, if you do want to get out to enjoy any of the fall fairs that are beginning this time of year, it is a great day to do so. Into Sunday, it starts off not too bad. That line of showers from the prairies makes its way across starting around 9 a.m. through that eastern shoreline of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. For Toronto, the downtown core, the GTA, this is kind of a midday situation from about 1 p.m. through to about 3, and then the bulk of it is gone. So you have sunshine as we end the day before the sun sets into the evening. Then we watch for the chance of lingering showers to kick off next week. Now, temperature-wise, it's almost identical Saturday and Sunday. We're still just above seasonal. And then we kind of flip a switch. We head into Monday and onwards, and we are cooling down. But again, that is just towards where we should be for this time of year. And as we step in towards the end of next week, it warms up. And looking ahead in the long range to the Thanksgiving weekend, it's not too bad. Nathan Nelson, things back to you.
Thank you, Jess. Also tonight, Toronto's top cop opens up about how he battled and conquered cancer. Police Chief Myron Demke shares his incredible and inspirational journey.
It's not often Toronto's police chief shares details of his personal life.
But as we reported last night, Chief Myron Demke revealed he battled cancer and is now considered free of the disease. CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan has the story.
It has been an incredible journey, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it because, we are so blessed in our city to have such incredible care. And I really, really wanted to acknowledge the amazing people that are truly angels that provide world-class care at Princess Margaret.
Chief Myron Demke revealed on social media that he's now been cancer-free for 5 years. He says on October 3rd, 2019, I was able to ring the end of treatment gong at the Princess Margaret Cancer Centre. He goes on to say he was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer on his right vocal cord. This diagnosis rocked me and had a tremendous impact on my family and friends. To say that my treatment was intense is an understatement. Congratulations on reaching the 5-year milestone came from many quarters, including cancer support organization Wellspring.
He spoke in his announcement about having a supportive family and a supportive workplace, and he was very fortunate to have that. A lot of folks don't.
And while Demke was very open about his cancer journey today, Christina Smith says many people wrestle with how or whether to reveal the diagnosis to their workplace. Wellspring has services to help patients deal with that and many other challenges. Smith says men in particular have a hard time, but online programs are proving to be popular.
And that's what we're really seeing since we launched our digital platform last year. Our percentage of men has increased. It used to be about 27%. And now we're up to 37%.
Demke also spoke of the mental stress before being officially declared cancer-free.
I tried to process how I felt as the day came close. And I was overwhelmed with gratitude for all the great care and support I had. Family, friends, my workplace, people at work, the hospital, and of course, all the wonderful people that work there.
Pauline Chan, CTV News.
As the province prepares to roll out updated COVID-19 vaccines, there's been a slight slowing in the spread of the virus. That's according to the latest figures shared by Public Health Ontario. They cover the week of September 22nd to the 28th. They show that 16% of lab tests for COVID came back positive, That's considered a moderate level after the readings were listed as high for a few weeks. During that period, 776 hospital beds were occupied by patients with the virus, and 7 people died of COVID. A South Asian dance company is marking a major milestone this weekend.
For 35 years, it has brought people together in the GTA through the power of music and movement. As CTV's Andrea Case reports, to celebrate, a big show is taking center stage tomorrow night.
The rehearsals are underway. The outfits have been picked. The event, a one-of-a-kind dance and music production featuring an award-winning dance company, a staple in the South Asian community for the past 35 years. Suma Sarish is the artistic director of Sampradaya Dance Creations.
We specialize in creating and producing innovative dance works that are both classical and contemporary.
While the dance companies traveled internationally, they also have a focus right here in the community. They make their art available to those who have been victims of intimate partner violence and others living with mental health. In celebration of this milestone anniversary, they've created a tribute to Indian composer A.R. Rahman. It's called Salam Rahman.
I think we're ready. I think we have a show. Yes, but the jitters are in, but there's also equal amounts of excitement. And it's just been joyful, just the process of coming together in the same room, people from different walks, different backgrounds, just dancing. A.R. Rahman needs no introduction. The man's a musical maverick. He's a genius. He's a 2-time Oscar winner, multiple Grammys. He's the man who, he's one of the Indian musicians who really took his music, or took our music, to an international platform in a scale that had not been done before.
30 of the Academy Award and Grammy composer songs will be performed by a host of entertainers.
30 musicians from the symphony, 20 from an Indian music ensemble, really, again, a wonderfully talented ensemble of musicians who've been picked from the GTA. This has been, and 7 singers were part of the orchestra, and about 47 dancers.
This ambitious undertaking will be performed one night only this Saturday, October 5th, at the Living Arts Centre in Mississauga. Tickets are available now. Andrea Case, CTV News.
It is set to be a big weekend for art lovers and anyone else looking to see the city in a new light. Tomorrow night is Nuit Blanche. The all-night contemporary art festival is back for another year, with several of Toronto's public spaces playing host to installations, performances, and other events. This year's theme is Bridging Distance, which organizers say invites audiences to explore ways in which they experience and perceive distance. There will be more than 80 works on display by local, national, and international artists, as well as a series of talks, tours, and workshops. Nuit Blanche runs from 7 p.m. Saturday to 7 a.m. Sunday.
The TTC says subway service on lines 1 and 2 will operate all night, with trains arriving every 15 minutes. Several bus and streetcar routes will have extra service, including the 903 Kennedy Station, Scarborough Express, 44 Kipling South Express, 501 Queen, 504 King, and 511 Bathurst. Diversions will also be in place for transit routes on Parliament, Queens Quay, Harbourfront, and Spadina due to Nuit Blanche activities.
And if you're planning to take the GO train this weekend, there are some service changes to keep in mind. Lakeshore East trains will stop running late this evening and all through Sunday and Saturday. Replacement buses will be available, but only to stations outside the TTC service area. Stouffville line trains won't run to Union Station and will instead operate hourly to and from Kennedy GO.
I'm grateful for the dogged determination shown by our investigative teams in the pursuit of justice in this particular case.
Updating our top stories, police have arrested and charged a suspected serial killer, 30-year-old Sabrina Coulthard of Toronto. She's charged in connection with 3 homicides this week. They include the death of a woman in Toronto on Tuesday and the killings of 47-year-old Lance Cunningham in Niagara Falls on Wednesday and 77-year-old Mario Billick in Hamilton on Thursday, as the investigation continues.
The individual that shot our officer that day, once again, serious failed to comply from before.
Renewed calls for bail reform tonight after the shooting of a Toronto police officer near Yonge and Eglinton on Wednesday. The suspect in this case, 21-year-old Tibor Orgona, had been bailed just months prior for other alleged offenses. The 29-year-old officer is recovering from his injuries at home now.
We love what it's done to the community, our neighborhood. It's vibrant, everybody enjoying the streets.
And as restaurants close up their Cafe TO summer patio spaces, the city says more than 300 establishments took part in the program this year, an increase of 60 compared to 2023. Officials say Cafe TO added around $200 million into the local economy in 2022, and they're working to streamline it further ahead of next year.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photos, or video of breaking news, let us know.
On the markets, the Canadian dollar was down a fraction to 73.68 U.S. Oil was up more than $3 to $60.34. And the TSX Composite Index was up 24,162.83 points, more than 194 points up.
South of the border, the September job numbers blew way past economists' expectations. More than 250,000 jobs were added last month across the U.S., far surpassing the forecasted figure of 140,000. That news came as port workers across the U.S. East Coast and the Gulf of Mexico agreed to pause a strike that experts estimated could cost the U.S. economy billions of dollars a day.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
The Toronto Maple Leafs were back in preseason action last night, taking on the Detroit Red Wings.
Now he's back the other way. Robertson scores!
Nick Robertson continued his scoring ways, netting both goals for the Leafs in a 2-0 win. Robertson has scored the last 5 goals for the Leafs in the preseason. He had requested a trade in the offseason before re-signing with the club. The Leafs and Wings meet again tomorrow for the final preseason tune-up. The Buds open the regular season Wednesday against the Montreal Canadiens. Coming up, the Toronto Raptors are in Montreal for a preseason game this weekend, and today they took to the court to play ball with students from a local First Nations reserve. That story when we come back.
Tonight, passenger rights prevail.
Generally, the consumer should get compensation.
A landmark legal victory for international air travelers as the country's highest court upholds compensation rules. That story and more later on CTV National News.
And a reminder, the CTV News at 6 podcast is available as a download every weeknight. And a special shout out to those of you listening to this newscast live on News Talk 1010.
Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Monday at 6, a heartless roofing scam strikes again.
Are they the same people?
How they wiped out the savings.
That's why I call them ruthless. They know I'm disabled.
Of a vulnerable senior. Monday on CTV News at 6.
Toronto Raptors are in Montreal for a preseason game this weekend. They'll take on the Washington Wizards at the Bell Centre on Sunday.
And today, some of them were shooting hoops with Indigenous students at a First Nations school. CTV's Christine Long has the story.
Instead of the usual high-five tunnel, the games at Cattery School began with a welcome dance.
We had a traditional stomp dance as the Raptors, along with our school children, entered the school for the first time in the territory of the Mohawks of Ganawagi. It was awesome.
Hosted by the Mohawk Council of Ganawagi, the Toronto Raptors spent the morning with students at Cattery School giving a basketball clinic.
First for our community to have the NBA call us up and say, hey, we want to do something in the community. For sure, they're going to learn a lot. I told them they got to work hard today. They're going to be sweating.
Sweaty and happy, say these students.
I learned how to dribble better. It's fun, and I really enjoy playing it because I get to hang out with my friends more, and I get to meet new people like this. I feel more confident in myself now, and all of them teaching me how to lay up and shoot. It's so fun.
Yet, the learning goes both ways. Player Kelly Tyler Olenek is Canadian, but has never visited Mohawk territory.
Just to experience a little bit of their culture and experience it with them. You know, that's huge. That's awesome for us. Great experience. It's something that I'll remember for sure.
Questions and honest talk about the responsibilities of being a high-level player capped the event.
And I think when you're around young people, they give you so much energy. So our players are actually going to come out of this with more energy and more excited, and they're going to come filled. And I think that's important.
Important to set up the next generation for the dunk. Christine Long, CTV News.
All right, basketball and hockey starting soon.
Oh, wow, that looks so much fun. Hey, take us into the weekend, Jess.
It starts off really great. We've got lots of sunshine out there. Temperature-wise, it is a little cooler. We're not in the 20s, but you know what? I'll take it. We're still above seasonal. We do have some active weather coming on the way on Sunday, but it's not a wash of a day by any means. You will still be able to get out and get active. You just need the umbrella through that mid part of your day. Right now, watching those showers we had in the last hour or so push their way out. We see a little bit of late day sunshine before all things are said and done. We're sitting in that mid to upper teen range still, holding on at 21 through Windsor, and it's pretty comfortable outside. Now, into your weekend, lots of sunshine to start things off. A little midday shower activity on Sunday, but it is not a wash of a day. And then looking ahead to next week, we do that slow but steady climb back to warmer temperatures and lots of sunshine.
Sounds great. Thank you, Jess. That's it for us. But be sure to join Heather Butts at 11 tonight for CTV National News, followed by Sean Leathong with your next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and all of us here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a great night.